The first thing that we have to do is adding session start function call in the index.php file before calling the app-run function. As a result, we may work with session and no matter what site page is requested at the current time. And now let's add functionality to session class. For this purpose, we need several methods. The first method is used for adding data to session array by key. We name it as set. Its arguments are key and value. This method adds value to superglobal session array. And now we may add data to session. We also have to add function which will be getting value from session. As for example, it will be used for getting login of an authorized user. This method will be getting key as an argument. If such a key is set, the corresponding value will be returned. If not, null will be returned. In some cases, we have to delete key and value from session. For this purpose, we add delete function which will be calling unset function for a specified key of the superglobal session array. Unset will be called in case when such key exists. One more new method of this class will be named as destroy. Its mission is destroying session. This method is called when user logs out. At this stage, the developing of session class is completed. And for now we have to open config.php file and add special setting to it, so-called salt. Salt is a special string which has random set of symbols. It is used in password hash generation, as for example. Salt will be added to source string which must be hashed. Therefore, we complicate potential user's password attack. Let's copy it. We'll need it for adding query. We have to add admin account to users table. Let's check which columns are in this table. We add insert comment. Then we add admin to login field. We omitted ID field since auto increment is set there. Admin account will have login and password as admin by default. Let's fill email field. Then we add admin string to role field. This will be the role of site administrator. Roles are used to define permission of the access to site sections. Password field stores password in the form of hash. That is, password will be hashed with the help of ND5. As a result, nobody will get to know the real password, but PHP code may check whether the entered login and password are correct, defining hash according to the same principle. Hash will be defined basing on password, before which is salt. The password is admin, and for now we may execute query and add line. Let's look at the result. Here is the added line. And here is the hashed password. Well, let's go back to PHP code. And now we are ready to create users controller, which is responsible for login, logout of users. We create users controller PHP file. Users controller class will be very similar to controllers which were created earlier. We add constructor. This class will interact with user model, that's why we create the corresponding user class object. We add this model. It primarily works with users table. In order to execute login and password authentication, we have to get record from database by login field. For this purpose, we create getByLogin with login attribute. Let's add value to login variable processed by escape function. We add users table query to SQL variable. This query is very simple since we have to get only one line in which login field value is equal to the specified one. We add the result of query executing to result variable. If there is an element in result array, we return it. Otherwise, method will return false. And for now, we may go back to controller in order to create admin login method. This method will output and process login form. Let's add the corresponding view for it. In Views directory, we create Users directory. We add admin login HTML file to this directory. We also create login form in this file. The form will be sent by post method to the same URL, that is admin users login. We add form fields by rotation. The first field is login. We add some CSS classes for the form to look good. And of course, we add field for password entering. Fields are done. Then we add Submit button. The form is fully ready now. Let's check how it looks in browser. We enter admin users login in the address line. And here is the form. Now we may add code for its processing. We add condition. If we received post query and login password fields are submitted, we assign the result of getByLogin method of user model to user variable. In login form, we submit the specified one as an argument. We have to figure out the MD5 hash of the submitted password in order to compare it to the value received from database. We get hash in the same way as we were doing it while adding record to users table with the help of salt. Now we have to make sure that user variable isn't empty, that user is active, which means that isActive field is equal to 1, and that the received hash coincides with user's table hash. We write this in a condition. If this condition is executed, it means that login and password are correct and user has passed the authentication. Login existence in session means that user has logged in. We add user's login to session. We also add session and user's role. After this, user gets to admin panel. So, we call redirect method of router class, passing to it the admin panel address. At this stage, admin login method is ready. Apart from login, we still have to provide the ability to log out. Let's add admin logout method. This method will destroy session and execute redirect. This method doesn't need adding the admin logout HTML, since it outputs nothing. And now we are ready to check whether the user has logged in. This test will be executed in run method of app class. With each query to admin root, we have to check whether user has permission to do that. Let's move the root definition higher, that is to controller method call. Let's add condition. If one of the admin panel pages is requested and the role field value of the current session isn't equal to admin, we have to redirect user to login form. It means that all unauthorized users will get to login form instead of admin panel, where they will be offered to log in. At the same time, we have to remove login page from test in order not to get endless looping. We open browser. Then we try to get pages list. Login form opens instead, and this is correct. Well, let's try to log in using login and password of the administrator. It works! We got to the admin panel, and now we may work with menu. We log out. For this purpose, we add admin users logout to address line. And it works! We logged out and got to the login form as it was expected. It would be nice if we hit menu from unauthorized users and added logout link for authorized users. For this purpose, we open admin HTML file. Let's find our menu. Here it is. We add test to find out whether login was implemented. If so, we show the existing menu items and logout link. Then we open browser and once more try to load admin panel. There is no menu since we didn't log in. Let's enter login and password again. As we can see, password is output overtly. In order to hide it, we have to change value of the type attribute for password. Great, we get into the admin panel. Menu is output. Now we may look through pages. We click Logout. We logged out. At this stage, adding of the authentication is completed.